I think that you led into that for me because you think perhaps I'm unforgettable.
Trying to incriminate me on my own show here.
This guy came in looking amazing.
So we often hear words like networking, influence, branding, and we seem to think that they're all separate from one another. I beg to differ. I think that they're all one and the same. Don't you notice that sometimes when people walk into the room, they can leave the room and are quickly forgotten, whereas others can walk into a room and are quoted for years to come? There's a special kind of charisma, substance, that makes someone unforgettable. Today I want to tap into the secret of what makes someone unforgettable and how a reputation is essentially today's version of your own personal brand. Tune into this conversation. My conversation with Super Frankie Disco is definitely going to uncover some of the many secrets for networking, becoming more charismatic, and more importantly, becoming unforgettable. Thanks for watching. Real Sense Now. Have you ever noticed that some people can walk into a room and somehow everyone knows them, while others are maybe arguably more successful, more accomplished, and completely walk into a room unnoticed? I've always wondered, is that luck? Or is there some actual science behind being unforgettable? On today's episode, I have a very special guest, Mr. Super Frankie Disco. Frankie, welcome to the show.
That was a nice entry. I think that you led into that for me because you think perhaps I'm unforgettable. I feel the same way about you, dude. From the first time I met you at the golf course, I thought, this guy came in looking amazing.
I couldn't play golf worth diddly squat.
And that's what I was getting at. For a guy that looks that good.
Hey, like they say, fake it till you make it, right?
That's it.
I got to work on my golf game.
Let me tell you, and you've also lost a ton of weight. You look great since last time I met you. I probably added 15 pounds, and you've gone down and you look dynamite.
Thank you.
Yeah.
It's been a wonderful health journey. I'm going to tell you, it's probably the best accomplishment I've ever done in my whole entire life.
Good for you.
Yeah. I'd actually like to talk about this.
Good.
I think for a lot of people out there that have been on the fence, trying to figure out what to do, not quite sure where to start on their health journey, whether it's dieting, more Pilates, yoga, working out, peptides, the conversation goes on and on and on. And I think all of those areas combined on the whole with the right guidance, right blood work, right direction can really lead to some phenomenal results. And I think the results that a lot of people are probably not factoring in is, other than the weight loss, what other positive effects it's really causing on people's life. In my case, it was just showing up in the world differently.
Yeah.
You know?
So can I ask you just, if you want to just, I know that you're kind of leading the interview, but it's what are 5 things that you did to show us what you've done clearly with your body and your mind? So just give me, your 5.
I think the first place to start is to really understand the numbers. Really go get a DEXA scan, find out
Proper blood work, is that what that is?
No. Body scan first,
Yeah.
kind of find out where you're at. What amount of fat, visceral fat, but what's your body composition? How much muscle do you have? So that you can understand where you're starting from. I'd also get the resting metabolic rate test so that you can understand what kind of calories are we burning at a resting rate. And then at the same time, definitely go get your blood work to kind of find out where you're at. We tend to carry a lot of inflammation with the type of food that we eat. I think, a better education on nutrition is definitely a wise way to go. And I think as you start to go through this process, you tend to hear a lot of people that want to talk about what's worked for them. And their way is the golden way. Okay. There is no other way.
So if I ask you, so I know what worked. I know my issues with weight. I drink too much alcohol. I binge. And I eat too much. I snack too much. I just eat too much. I'll go for a little lunch and it becomes way too many calories. I'll go for a bigger lunch. I'll go for dinner. I really enjoy eating. My kids laugh at me. I snack like crazy. I know what my issues are. So I think that, like you said, inflammation is a big thing. So what does really help me when I tried last year and I probably lost 20 pounds was fasting. Is that something that you did a lot of?
So fasting was definitely one of the things that I did, as well as go see a hormone specialist, as well as get on a proper regimen. from working out to nutrition as well too. I stopped eating earlier in the day, like 6:30, 6 o'clock. Stop going out to late dinners like we like to go to with
So
all of our
that's my
clients.
problem.
And
That's
the
my
bottles of
problem.
wine all night long that never
Okay, no, but
stop.
so this is my problem. Everybody I know that's getting healthy, a lot of my friends, you know me, Dawood, I've got very successful friends from around the world. I'm very lucky that way, and not so successful. But the ones who have really kind of propelled in business have now stopped drinking.
Yep.
Some of them have found the Lord, and the other ones have stopped going out. And a lot of I basically don't want to do any of those three. I want to continue having drinks. I want to eat well and go out. And listen, I'm not against the Lord, but it's not. I just don't think I need it. I think I like feeling like I'm hurt with God every day. So are you still having fun? Are you still able to have fun?
But I think the whole dynamic has changed. I think part of the reason why we get along really well is we both kind of like the same sort of thing.
Yeah.
You put us in whatever random city, and before you know it, we're with the who's who of whatever. You know
Probably.
what I mean? And it's going to be a good time. And you're always like, hey, I'm inviting you to this event or this party or this thing to come to. Come tag along.
Yeah. I like to add the invites. Not everybody does.
Yeah.
And I find it with my family, and sometimes people are like, well, I invited you to dinner, Frank. Why did you add somebody? And I said, well, what's the big deal? I was raised that way by my mother. It was like, okay, well, just they're there. Well, okay, what are you going to kick them out of the house? Just invite them to the thing. Not everybody's like us, though. Not everybody's like us.
So that brings me to a really interesting theme that I want to talk about. I'm going to be really straight up here. The best part about having this conversation after re-picking up Real Sense now after a bit of a hiatus. And the reason for that was I think I wanted to be inspired to have conversations with people that I cared about, with topics that I think impact people's life far more than just business, real estate.
Yeah, the most boring. I'm not saying it's not important. It's just you can't be everything.
Yeah, exactly.
People have made their work and their business the most important part of their life, and it's not everything. It really isn't. And for me, it's almost like a fourth thing, and I think that's what really helps me. It really helps me. Like I put fun at a very high priority in my life.
You know what I like to call myself?
What?
The CFO, the Chief Fun Officer.
That's good.
Because we always have a good time no matter where we go and do. And you know what? It leads me to think that I don't think I've gone to work in the last at least decade and a half.
You don't feel like you work?
No, because it's fun, right? I work 7 days a week, but I have fun.
That's key.
And then I get to travel and I'm with different people, networking or not working, like a lot of people like to say about myself and you all the time. But it really kind of brings me to a really interesting conversation. I think I can learn something from you. And then more importantly, I think you can really impart this with our audience as well too. Is I've genuinely been looking forward to having this conversation and kind of manifesting it in my mind. And I'm not quite sure how I really wanted to make this work. And it just worked out effortlessly today.
It did.
And I think people misunderstand networking and the importance of networking.
Yeah.
Right. And I can think of a handful of our friends that are just brilliant with it. I think in many ways it's almost their superpower.
Yeah, GD for sure.
For sure. Yourself, myself. And I think a lot of people misunderstand networking. I think they think in terms of business cards or LinkedIn or conferences or awkward handshakes or pretending to like that horrible coffee when you go to somebody's office or meet up with them. And I think it's more to do with getting deeper, getting to know people for who they are, genuinely caring about them, and seeing if there's some kind of synergy to make it work. What's been the secret to your success? Because God, you know more people than I can ever imagine, and I'm a connector. Mm-hmm. What's the secret, Frank?
What's the secret? I've been asked this a lot of times. What's the secret? Well, just, I think it's being genuine. I think I learned a lot from my mom and my dad, just being helpful, like you said. And you look at someone in the face, and when you're at a party, someone said this to me recently. Well, you were really interested in what I said. You weren't so keen to talk to everybody else at the party. So I think that, it's about people. Networking at the end of the day is about people. And when you go to a party, don't expect to get 100 cards. People feel that. If you get 1 or 2 or 3, or you meet 2 or 3 great people, That's all you need. And you magnetically meet the people that are going to fit you anyways. So you don't even have to try that hard. Just, people really love when you pay attention to them. They really love that. And what I've learned as I got older, because when I was younger, I used to want to talk a lot. I still like talking. I want to hear their
Not you,
story.
Frank.
Yeah, exactly. But you want to let them talk.
No, for sure.
Because everybody wants to tell their story. And I've led a very crazy life. I've had, car accidents, depression. I've,
Mental health.
Yeah, major mental health issues. I've had, wild parties. I've probably killed myself 5 times, not just in the one way, but in different accidents and falling off trees and ski accidents and things like that.
What were you doing in a tree?
Just as a kid, I was walking up a tree and I fell off a tree, on skis. I fell off a cliff. I've been in car accidents where, I thought I was gone. And then of course I tried to kill myself. I've had a pretty wild life, but, I could talk for days, but I know what I've done. Right. So I'm more interested in what you've done. So, and I think that people appreciate that, because I could talk for days, but I'm not teaching myself anything by talking. So I love to learn about other people's stories. And I think that's really helped me in sales, because, I'll go into a situation and say, da, 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 da. And I can remember 20 years from now, ago, that the guy had a dog and he came from Czechoslovakia and he owned a magazine, and I have that kind of memory. I may not remember the guy's name, but I'll know that, he had this story that I listened to and I remember.
Who is Super Frankie Disco, and how did that name come about?
The name came about, it was in Dominican, actually, and it was a friend of mine, Stuart McGregor, who loves when I tell this story. He's a pretty wild guy. We knew his father very well, and we were in the Dominican, and we were driving this Jeep in the jungle. This is probably 15 years ago, and he said to me, or I said to him, what would be my name if I was a radio host in the Dominican? And he said, you know what? You'd be Super Frankie Disco. And that was it.
I like it. Yeah. I love it. So and now we have the merch, the hats, the shirts.
We've got the merch, the hats, the shirts. I'm a propaganda machine, baby.
How do you get to shoot those things at a Raptor game? Can you please tell me that?
Which one's at the Raptors game?
Didn't you throw out your T-shirts or your hats?
Yes. So actually, the Raptors MLSC, they've been a customer for a long time. Office equipment, and I can't tell you the background because I don't want to tell any secrets. But I just got lucky. I get lucky. I think people, because they see my authenticity, they're like, you know what the hell, let the guy do it if he's not hurting anybody.
No, but you've created a really great brand for really being unforgettable.
Thank you.
Your face is on the side of buildings right on Main Street. I see you walking up and down and shooting all your videos in the path, and you really kind of connect with the community, with different restaurants and different things that come up, and really, it's a great addition to who you are as a brand and who you are as a person. And it really kind of leads me to the next question that I've been pondering about lately. What makes someone unforgettable?
Ooh, what makes someone unforgettable? I think if you're saying I am, or I don't know, what makes someone unforgettable? It's, for me, it's kindness. It leads me to, you were just talking about something. You're saying, oh, I go to restaurants or I'll pick up something. I think that it's important to remember that it's an old saying we probably see on LinkedIn so often. And it's always been my thing. Because you succeed doesn't mean I don't. And I think people forget that so often. They think everything's a competition. Mm-hmm. I'm not that competitive in sports. And sometimes I have to turn myself on and say, Frank, in sports, you should kind of just want to win. But there are also those times when you're playing and the kid's not happy, where you have to let a ball go. And so I think that's what it is. It's also remembering that you should feel good, not just me. And it's one of those sayings that I have in my life that I really want you to be happy. And but I also want to be happy. So your feeling should not, kill the way I feel. So I really feel strong. I really feel strongly. If I'm in a mood, I don't want to kill your mood. And I expect a bit of vice versa, especially after what happened with me in mental health. I really feel like if I'm not vibing and you really want to go down a certain way, I just turn. I say, thank you very much. For my own mental health, I need to kind of, pull away.
I have a theory that I don't think magnetic people suddenly become magnetic. I think something happens much earlier. And I think it triggers a certain part of you that has to perform and show up in a different way. What happened for you in your life?
Gosh, I don't know. I know it's really funny to say this, but a lot of it came from my parents, I think.
Your parents are wonderful.
They're amazing.
Yeah, they are.
So I was just with them for a week in Paris last week, and then we went to London, spent 9 days together, just me and my parents. I just watched them from the time we came to Canada, like immigrants, right? I just watched my parents just every day wake up, not in a mood, go to work, then come home, make a great meal. Stuff was in the thing. We traveled, we found ways to do everything, and they just didn't complain. So I don't have that complain button.
No, you don't.
That I see a lot of people have, and I'm like, just get up and go. It's not so bad. Like, look at these poor kids on the television that we see that are getting food dropped from helicopters, right? Like, please.
It's crazy, right?
Right?
But at the same time, I think there are times in people's life where something sets off. My case, a war. You had to travel to 7 different countries. You were always not the right ethnicity when you showed up at the new place.
Well, we had a good time yesterday with my friends that we
what a small world that is. Small world, right? So there you go. Perfect example. Yeah. Mr. Connector over here decides to go out and go, hey, I got to introduce you to an old friend of mine that I used to work with, 20 years ago or something. Shows up with his kids, his wife. Turns out we all went to the same high school 30 years ago or whatever it is. I'm not aging myself here, guys. But yeah, and it was just such a small world, right? Like-minded people kind of connected. And before you knew it, kind of felt like we were there together for 20 years. Ironically, for me, I just felt like I had to adapt, learn a new language, learn customary ways of doing things or certain traditions or just
their customs because of where you are.
Just so that you could like fit in, which I think ultimately allowed me a greater sensitivity to understanding and being with people. Yeah. And I have to say one thing, like, thank God for real estate for one reason. It's the closest thing that I can do outside of some kind of a performing type of service or a hosting kind of service at a much higher level that allows me to connect with people, express who I really am authentically, and really be able to provide some level of a product or a service or a knowledge base that could be transferred over, whether it's consulting, buying, selling something for them as well too.
Sorry, so let me ask you. So I also sold real estate. The thing that I found the hardest, and I think I've gotten over that, is that, when you're helping someone buy real estate, whether it's commercial, residential, I think more on the residential side, I always felt really compelled to get the person a great deal if they were buying it or a great price if they were selling it. But do you feel that way? Like,
of course.
But there's a guilt to it. Well, how do you deal with that?
I think after you...
And I had a hard time with the guilt. Like if I couldn't, I really wanted to get them the best price. And if I didn't think it was a good one, I would not show them that listing. But I had to learn that some people are okay to overpay. Sorry. So
no, but I think with that, it really comes down to something a little bit more deeper rooted, the more that I know you. I think you genuinely want to do the best for anybody and everyone. Yeah. And I think you always give from your heart. And I think that, unfortunately, is a double-edged sword.
It's a double-edged sword.
Gift and the
Don't
curse,
you find?
Right? Yeah. So I think for me, what I end up doing is I've learned a long time ago, if we're talking about residential, I'm here to facilitate and provide information.
Yeah.
I'm not here to influence your decision.
Yes.
If you like,
You almost have to become like a robot. You have to almost take your emotions out of it because you think something. So what I've learned is that you think you know what that person in front of you is thinking, but you don't.
No, because it keeps changing all the time,
Yeah.
right? And I think as people start to find better options that are more in line with what they're looking for their family, for their lifestyle, whether it's a house, commercial property, investment property, you have to understand the big picture. I've said this on the show so many times, but I look at it from the end investment, END investment. Like, what does the end goal look like, and how can we reverse engineer it so that we can bring you to that place? And I think, with all sales.
But you've moved from residential to commercial, right?
Yeah, but I mean, I've also been doing my own investments in my own fund, and all the other things that we've been talking about on the side as well too. So it's nice to pivot and to start to kind of like find a footing. And I think that's part of the reason why I wasn't quite sure what kind of content I wanted to re-show up into this world with. We did the radio show for a long time, and it was really real estate heavy.
Now you're talking about your own reinvention.
Yeah,
okay,
exactly.
I like that.
And I think what really ends up happening, as I've come to realize, because you touched on something that's really interesting, talking about like, maybe a really good mental tip for a lot of people that are interested. I think one of the greatest lessons that I learned this year was how to become a lot more aligned with the future identity that I'm trying to create or walk into, right? And I think we all carry a lot of core values that brought us to where we are. And now when we look back at some of these core values, maybe they don't serve us as well as we do. And I think one of the greatest indicators for us to understand that is something you touched on. If you're not vibing with someone, you just leave the circumstance so that you're not putting yourself in an environment that you're not thriving in or you're not feeling comfortable in.
Yeah. I think that's very important.
I look at it from the same way, but just label it differently. Just learn how to regulate your nervous system and just let your nervous system kind of guide you to see where you're at. How does this feel? Does it feel comfortable? And the more in tune that I feel like you are with it, the right people show up, the right opportunities show up, things just kind of flow. The best way that I heard this the other day is, God or the universe doesn't give you what you want, it mirrors who you are, right?
God or the universe doesn't give you what you want, it mirrors who you are. Yeah, okay. I like it. Yeah.
Like, think of going up to a fast food counter, right? You walk up and you're like, I'll have the double cheeseburger. No, I'll have that filet or whatever. And I'll have the spicy chicken. No, actually, you know what? I'll just go with the dessert. You know what the person behind the counter is going to say? Ma'am, sir, when you're ready to come up with your order, I'll be more than happy to take it for you and make sure you get exactly what you're looking for. If you're not clear, how are you planning to get anywhere, right? And I think what a lot of people can really benefit from is really kind of understanding what really aligns with who they are as a person and what kind of identity they're really trying to show up into the world. And I think it's the steps, the slight edges that get you there. It's not this big epiphany, this, aha, come to Jesus moment. I think the more you are in alignment with yourself, the more the secrets start to reveal themselves to you because they exist within yourself, right? You just uncover your true light within yourself and you just follow the path. And I think that's how you truly kind of find purpose.
Yeah, I think you're right. Yeah, I like it.
I like it too.
Yeah. You look happy. That's good. That's good. You look like a happy person.
I am a happy person.
Yeah.
When have you known me not to be happy?
No, but you look happy with where you're at right now, which is so important.
I really am. I think it's probably I'm really grateful for where I'm at.
Good.
Yeah, it's been a nice long journey. Today's actually a really special day for me. I heard some really great news today, which I can't share just yet.
Good.
All I know is future's looking bright.
Good.
Yeah, it's good. So tell me about you. How'd you go from real estate to selling photocopy machines?
You know what? Not really that crazy of a story. I mean, my wife and I broke up, but I've been with my wife since I was 16 years old. So we had a breakup before we were married, and I went to LA. I drove from Toronto to LA. I was selling real estate before then and trying to get a job in LA selling real estate. And I, had some interviews there. I was going to work there, and that didn't work out. Then I interviewed with like an office equipment company when I got back to Toronto. I said, you know what? I'm going to try something other than real estate. So I've kept my real estate license. I've done deals over the last 20 years, but I went into selling office equipment. I met a great guy that I really liked, and he sold his business, and I started a business, shortly after that. And that's kind of the story. And then, and I think that you touched on it. I've got a long-term vision. I've always had a long-term vision in life. And so I just do the same little things every day. I try to reach out to 3 to 5 people. I have a plan to do 2 to 3 things every day. But I've been very consistent. And I think that, I've got friendships from the time I was 3 years old. I've got a group chat of guys that I've known for 30 years. I try to look at everything from a very long-term perspective. So if a friend makes a screw up, I don't see it as this big thing. And even if it's been against me, and I say to myself, well, everybody's looking out for their own family. Nobody is, handing you a bag of potatoes, right? You got to go make money and buy those potatoes. So you can't take it too personally when you feel like you've been so offended. I'm not saying I haven't, and I've been hurt many times, but I've slowed down. And one of the big things for me, like you said, is like having some direction. Where you're going. I'm very lucky. I think I married the girl of my dreams. I met her when I was 16, 17 years old. And I see us eating dinner in Paris when we're in our 70s with a knife and a fork, talking about our fun lives and the crazy things we're going to still do over the next 20, 25 years. And I think that that's important to kind of have a goal. And that's a simple one for me, but that's the one I want. I want to have a nice white tablecloth, 2 nice things, eating some dinner in Paris. And that's what I want. And I think that it's not that hard to get there if you just have this, long-term goal. So I'm happy that you have some goals that you already know you're aligning. Mine are quite simple, and then you just do the same things every day.
I think you inspired me to actually step out of my comfort zone and not want to just buy another place here in North America, and actually consider buying something in Europe and really taking in the lifestyle. I mean, I know we're going to do a proper Paris trip together, and we're going to have a really good time, because I know what it's going to end up looking like.
Yeah. Well, I took the guys to Paris. It's funny. I took a bunch of, over the last couple of years, I've taken a few groups of guys to Paris. And they're saying, why are we going to Vegas? This is even better. You sit at these little coffee shops, you drink wine, you go to these great nightclubs. The girls are gorgeous. They're all supermodels. Then if you want to do a tour down to some vineyard an hour and a half away, which we've done many times, or a war museum, or if you go with smart guys, not just guys that want to drink beer and watch a football game, it's a really great place. Europe is amazing, and you don't necessarily have to do it with your wife and see it as boring. Go with some friends and have a great time.
Yeah. And there's lots of great places to go eat, and the most beautiful thing about Europe versus a lot of places in North America, I feel like you have to pay some kind of an admission fee to go anywhere to have a good time. Whereas you can just wander about over there, and everything is just
Paris. I think there's 1,000 coffee shops. You just stumble in, have a beer. You meet someone from around the world, and I'm with a couple right now in Orlando and with their kids, and they keep laughing at me because I keep asking everybody where they're from. So the kid says to me this morning, he goes, why do you keep asking everybody where they're from? Well, because it's a great way to segue to a conversation, right? So, and then Paris is one of those cities where you just meet people from everywhere that kind of ended up, it's the center of the world.
And you know what? I think that there's certain cities that you can pretty much get away with that naturally. Miami is a great city like that.
Miami is a great city.
Where you can just go out, you naturally run into people before you know it. You're on somebody's yacht, mansion, after party, whatever, little
Miami
coffee shop.
Great. You're right.
There's something going on all the time that you can get looped into something or the other all the time. And people are just there out having a good time. I think they're less reserved and definitely open to networking, not working, whatever you want to call it.
Yes, you're right. Miami is great for that. Miami's great. And it's really having its day, which is nice. I'm like you. I love Miami from the time I was little. You've been here a lot longer than I have, but I've always vacationed there. It was I almost had an obsession with Miami.
That's Me too, actually.
Yeah. And I bought a little condo there because I just love it. I love that boardwalk.
Your condo is probably the most Miami-esque condo that you could, Does
It's
it
in
even
an
have
old school like
pink flamingos?
Yeah, there's a lot of pink. There's a lot of green. It's a great view, and I walk down that boardwalk, and I'm obsessed with the boardwalk. And if people say to me, "I don't like Miami. I don't like this," it's the greatest boardwalk in the world. You go from Smith and Walensky up to Ball Harbor, past Ball Harbor shops, on this beautiful pathway. There's no place in the world that doesn't have roads in between
Yeah,
it.
it's true.
It's the greatest. I like the one in Venice. I like the one in Cannes is like short. Where else do you go? Like to have such a great where you have no cars beside you stinking of fumes. It's unbelievable. And you can take a bike. There's nothing like it.
But it's that vibe, right? It's the fashion, it's the food, it's the
best.
culture, it's the music. But I mean, it's all these cities share that, and I think there's a certain commonality for a lot of the types of people that we know that kind of travel to a lot of these places. They tend to be of very similar mindset.
Yeah.
At least from a guy's perspective, all young entrepreneurs, wanting to go out, connect. We have a lot of similar friends that travel to a lot of the same places. And the best part about that is, at least whenever I go, I know that if I'm getting the shopping list from you, it's all the right places.
Yeah.
Because God knows that list you sent for Paris was like no other.
Yeah. Well, did you try a few?
I'm not myself, but a friend of mine.
Okay.
I said we was overwhelmed with all the wonderful suggestions that you had.
Yeah.
And he was like, that's every single thing you'd want to do on that trip.
I think that there's two sides of me personally. Like I like being around some business people but I really also don't. And so I think that's for me, I also just like normal people who aren't so obsessed with business. I like people who like art, and I like people who like sport, and I like people who are old, and I like people who have disabilities, and I like people who, so I hate kind of wrapping myself into this business bubble, because a lot of people see me as, Frankie's this wild guy, but he's also kind of really likes biz. Biz is not natural to me. I'm pretty good at it. I'm a good salesman. I'm a very good salesman. I know that about myself, but it's not necessarily who I want to hang out with on a personal day-to-day level. I prefer to, talk to smart people. I really love some of my wife's friends who are like crazy smart, and not necessarily business people who are just trying to get the next deal.
You're very visible on social media, and you've definitely created a persona and a personality that is unforgettable, but your character, your charisma can't be taught. Sorry, it can't be taught. How important has social media been to your business in terms of turning around, opening up more doors for you? And what piece of advice can you give for business owners that really should be taking advantage of more and more and more social media, communicating their message to everybody?
So I love this question. People ask it, and so number one, it's not everything. It really is not everything, as we both know. Sorry, were we going in there? No. So I would say that we were doing very well without social media. I think that social media is super important and easy and free. And I just keep telling people it's free. So just keep putting it up. You watch that Gary V or whatever, and he just says it's free, and he's right. It's free, and you just throw stuff up constantly on the phone that you have. And we got the time there, 31:04. Is that a lucky number, or is that what's
going.
left?
Don't worry.
All right.
Just pick it up. We'll cut that part.
Yeah, we'll cut it up. But that's kind of funny.
Yeah.
Okay. So, but what I was getting at, what was the actual question? How important it is for opening the doors? I mean, it's.
So let's ask the question again.
Okay.
So we cut that up. Okay. So you've created an incredible personality. Super Frankie Disco went from Dominican radio host to, business social media sensation with Walking Around the Path, which is the underground business district where all the buildings are. And just really kind of connecting with people, and you kind of get a really good sense of what's going on. You're pitching some of your products. Your AI videos are hysterical.
Thank you.
I don't even know how you come up with that.
Well, that was really funny during the Blue Jays. So that's when Sora came out during the Blue Jays. Yeah. So they were playing this Japanese guy. So I was stealing like sushi from the Dodgers, locker room during the thing. I couldn't believe that I could do it in 5 seconds on this app called Sora. I'm actually really mad. it's not around anymore. I got to find another good one. But it just
I think Nano Banana is a good one or something.
okay. I don't know them. Is that right? There's other ones.
There's a couple of other ones.
I'm cheap, so like the free ones.
Okay.
So that was free at the time, and I think. Listen, I think a lot of people who are busy on social media know this thing about it, that when you walk in the door, people feel like they know you. So it's like you don't even have to talk about your product; they already know what you're selling. So you've kind of gone in there and sold before you've sold, and oh, I know what you do, I know what you sell, I watch your videos. I've got these funny people that say, well, I can't unsee you now, Frank, because you're all over the place. But it's free. That's what I just keep telling you. Like it's kids are saying, well, I'm shy, I'm this, I'm not. If you can somehow get over your shyness, which we all have, the fear of public speaking. I was terrified as a kid to get up there and sorry, I thought I would pass out. But if you can somehow get over that, it is the greatest tool of all time.
I'm going to tell you one thing. This is what I tell a lot of my team members. This is what I coach a lot of people on as well too. Listen, the way you look, the way you sound is how you show up in this world every day. And there are certain people in this world that basically only like to speak to you, connect with you, get the news from you, rather than somebody else. There's a million real estate agents out there, just like there's a million news channels out there. But for some strange reason, channel number 3 is your favorite newscaster with the right kind of news you want to hear.
With reference to real estate, like you and like, do you do it enough? Do you feel can you do it enough?
I feel like at the same time, the power of social media, as far as my business is concerned, is that it allows me the opportunity to have doors open for me before I even walk into the room. What I mean by that is people have passively prospected who you are because they've seen your content. They've digested who you are. You've already showed up in some kind of an image or avatar in their mind or for whatever your brand is and how you want to show up. And as a result of that, I think communicating your message, just becoming an educator. Stop selling stuff. Add value to people's lives. And then let them reach out to you.
Totally.
One of the worst things that I used to hate doing, and I didn't know any better. You post this active, sold, pending. Great. You're a wonderful real estate agent. I'm glad you're really busy and you're making a lot of money.
Yeah.
But who cares?
Yeah.
People may want to see a tour. People may want to see the opposite. A funny skit of how people say, gourmet kitchen, and it's really not gourmet at all. Maybe like the drawers falling off or something. Or like, chefs this. And it's just a bunch of like...
Humor is very important.
But I mean, at the same time, it's also like, I think social media has changed. I don't even think that we connect with our friends anymore as much as we connect with personalities, personas, avatars of things we're interested in this moment in time.
Yeah.
Right? Like on my feed, all of a sudden, I'm getting all kinds of like great soccer stories or social media or psychology.
No more bikinis. I
don't know. That was really not my thing in the past. But you're trying to incriminate me on my own show here. No, I'm just kidding. But so I guess what I'm trying to say is definitely use it to your advantage. This is how you're showing up.
Oh, yeah.
World. And the people 100%. That want to work with you will work with you. If you can add more value for them in their life or just open up a door, show them things, God knows what else you can do. And, a lot of people say that they're stuck. And I think one of the things when it comes to this whole like hustle culture that we live in, and everybody's got some kind of, get rich quick scheme, working from home, and I don't know, whatever it is, drop shipping, crypto. It's not crypto anymore, but, whatever the new trend is. And I think it's great that we live in a creator economy. And I think there's a lot more that you could do in today's world with the leverage of AI and all of these tools. But I'm actually banking on something that is contrarian in thinking. I think the human connection is going to become a lot more valuable.
I agree.
And as much as AI can really help, I think what we're going to start to see turn up even more. And watch what's happening lifestyle-wise. We're turning to healthier habits. What business do our friends own that's incredibly successful right now? The coffee party. Mm-hmm. An international success where people can come and enjoy exercise, coffee, dance. If you want to drink, great. If you want to party, or just enjoy the morning and go do something else productive. You're seeing nightclubs shutting down. You're seeing lifestyles change, even for a lot of people that are in their 40s and 50s. Their idea of a good time is going to play padel.
Oh, it's so true.
Right?
Yeah,
Having
so
a nice
true.
drink with your friends, maybe go golfing, maybe do.
That's always been around,
Yeah.
though. Having said that, right? Tennis clubs have always been around.
But the lifestyle's changing, where people are becoming a lot more healthier and choosing healthier alternatives than the kind of things that one used to do before.
Yeah, well, perhaps. So I'm Eastern European, a bit of a conspiracy theorist. So maybe, people are saying, well, hey, we don't put in crap into our food anymore. They're saying we got to live more like Europeans. Everybody talks about the blue zones.
Yeah.
And maybe we got to think a little bit outside the box, and yeah, so it's, I think these peptides are also helping there. Everybody's talking about less food is being bought at supermarkets even. So, these peptides are, that's a really new thing that people are getting excited about. My mother's been on Ozempic for like 7 to 10 years, whenever it first came out. And she says she thinks it saved her life. She's got nothing, it's done great for her. So it's a very exciting time for our generation. And I think you were so right about the AI thing. And, jobs are going to be lost. But if you're thinking as a person that needs to, that really wants to find work, working on your socialization is super important, and being able to speak and, building some charisma, putting yourself out there. A friend of mine said to me, he no longer cares if his son does well in school because everybody's smart. So he's just really banking on sports. He goes, I never thought I would say this, but he said, I'm so, involved in my kid's sport because I think it's really going to help him if he's good at playing with others. And so I know the world is really changing.
And I think that's why, this economy has boomed, where these baby boomers are essentially selling off their businesses that their kids don't want to inherit anymore. They're not the most glamorous businesses in the world.
But they're the best ones.
They're the best ones.
Yeah.
Plumbing, mechanic shops,
Yeah.
All of those types
Car
of
washes.
car washes, all of those
It's
types.
my dream is to own a car wash. I just want to show up, put a bunch of soap in, leave, go home. Like a dream. I know guys who own like 3 car washes. I see, what? Do you work?
I gotta take you some of these cool car washes that we have here with like the disco thing going on while you're washing the car. And
I
the
gotta
Frankie
see that.
Yeah. I'll go take you for sure.
Disco balls.
So listen, let's talk about building tribes, because I think if we're going to segue from going into how to build an unforgettable brand, we've talked about networking, we've talked about charisma, we've talked about social media. How do you build a tribe now?
So I'm very lucky from that standpoint. I think about my build tribes just kind of naturally. I try to add people in. A lot of people have a different philosophy than me. When someone at work is bad or they're having a bad day let's fire them right away. I'm saying, well, let's give people a chance. Not everybody's a rock star. Not everybody, you got to lift. It's like a family. You got to lift them a little bit. You got to toss them, and I think building a tribe is one of the things where you can't just think about there's that 80-20 rule where the top 20% do so well. Well, we all know that. But if you're not looking after the 80 as well, you get nowhere. And people start to see through, I'm just want to be around the most successful people. I just want to be how much success can you have? So I think building a tribe is all about, being kind and, thinking out of the box. And I think that's how you build a tribe, and we've done really well at our office. Just, adding people that don't want to leave because they see that we want to build a tribe. And, with my friends, I see how they are. They're always trying to add people, add friendships, throw parties, and include as many people as they can. I try to emulate that. I've watched people do that. I've watched my parents do that, and I think that's how you build a tribe. There's an old saying, right?
Okay.
There's an old saying: think globally, act locally, and I think that's the way you build a tribe, right?
I like it. So imagine you're talking to a 22-year-old listening to you, watching the show right now. No money, no followers, no audience. Nobody knows their name. Walk us through day one.
Uh,
Where do they begin?
Give me a little more. Like what are you saying? Am I walking into a job? Am
No,
I
no.
walking into
You're
my life?
advising a 22-year-old on how they can get started with whatever brand that they want to build in terms of kicking off their business, starting from zero.
Okay, if they want to build, so I will just tell you really quickly. uh, Take yourself super seriously. Just just believe in yourself. I wish I had believed in myself a little more 5 to 10 years ago. I always kind of saw myself like this, ah ha ha, whatever, ha ha ha. Now I'm like, I wish I just said to my, don't let someone's small vision cloud your big vision. And I think about that a lot. I say, that person, they did well, but they had a smaller vision than you. So be clear to just kind of push somebody else's, oh, you could never do that, away, and just go for it. So, in terms of, let's say, social media, post something, and even if nobody liked it, who cares? Leave it up. Don't worry about it. Try it again. And then try it a third time. And then try it a fourth time. And by the 10th time, you get one or two people. You say, oh, you know what? I like that person. Sometimes I post something, this is with reference to social media, and nobody likes it. Why care? Don't get so caught up in what other people think. I think that is the essence of just life. I had something on my shirt. Well, I'm sorry. I got here a little late. I'm sorry. Don't overthink those little things. I think we all did it or do it. I've become much better at not doing that. So if I was a young kid, I'd say, don't overthink it. Do 2 to 3 good things a day. Go to the gym. Eat some good food. Make sure to have some fun. And God darn it, be a good person. Because if you're a good person, whatever you're selling, whatever you're making, whatever you're creating, you will do well. Because if people see you as consistent and a good person, you'll never have a bad sleep. You don't screw people over. That would be my 2 cents for someone who's starting out, because your reputation stays with you.
Your reputation is your brand.
Yeah, it's your brand. It really does stay with you.
Okay, let's play a little game.
Okay.
Finish the sentence. Success is?
Great friends, great family.
Influence is?
Influence is important.
Also?
If it's important, if you feel good about yourself, influence is important. So you can just, like you said, guide some people in the right direction, and uh, and be careful with your influence. Just I think I have some friends who have become so successful, and they're so good at being kind, and they continue to be kind and never let it get to their heads.
I think money is a magnifier. I think money makes you more of who you really are. Success, influence, they're all interchangeable.
Yeah.
Right? I really think it makes you more of who you are. So if you're a kind person, you might be a philanthropist. And if you're not, well, we know what the opposite looks like
Yeah.
as well too. Money without purpose is?
Money without purpose. God, that's a tough one. I wish you asked me before. Money without purpose. What does that mean?
Whatever you want it to mean, sir.
Money without purpose. Well, money's great. I mean, it'll give you, experiences. Like, money is, there's no question. It's fun to go on great vacations and be able to buy. I almost cried the other day when I could go buy my daughter yogurt without thinking. It was a key lime yogurt, and I was at Publix and I bought 6 of them. And I didn't think about how much they cost, and I cried at Publix, and I was like, oh my God, that's amazing. Because I remember coming, as you did, as an immigrant to Canada, and you got the yops, and I would get them, and I thought it was such a treat. And but you also certainly have to give back. I think that I went through a major mental health thing, and I got to use the public Canadian system, which is CAMH, the Center of Addiction Mental Health, and now I've become a huge advocate for the Center of Mental Health. I've tried to raise a lot of money. I throw a golf tournament. I beg people to give money their clothing because they did a really great job. So your money can also really help. Yeah, so I think it's money. I don't know if I answered the question correctly, but
I think you did, and I got it.
yeah.
I totally get it. A great friend is?
So I love that question. So my wife always says, you have way too many best friends.
Me too. They say that to me all the time. They're like, this guy has way too many best friends.
Yeah.
But they're all my best friends in their own ways.
And that's how I feel. And I never want someone to feel like they're not the best one.
I know.
You know, so I say that all the time. And because they're all great, you know, and do I have a best? I feel like some are better than others at certain times. But, what was the question again? Friends?
A great friend is?
A great friend is special.
I like that.
Yeah.
People never forget
how you made them feel, of course. Yeah. That's the classic, right?
But it's true, though.
It's true.
You know, I could say that about our interaction the other night. We were at dinner watching one of the games, and I called our mutual friend the next day, and I go, it's incredible how like-minded individuals can just connect other like-minded individuals. And the most beautiful thing that comes out of it is this incredible friendship and bond that you don't even realize that you've just known this person for a very short period of time, but it feels like you've known them for decades. And I think that's the magic with authentic or genuine relationships and friendships. And I really appreciate that.
I think so. I think some people appreciate it more than others. Some people don't necessarily. Yeah, you're a social person, right? You crave that. I crave it as well. Like I wake up and I'm like, okay, I don't necessarily want to like do a traditional. Some people like having a certain direction. I crave socialization. So I think you're a bit like that as well.
I think, yeah. If I wasn't a social butterfly, like I think the worst thing that could ever happen to me is they throw me in jail. I will lose my mind. Yeah. I swear to God. Solitary confinement. What? 5 minutes, I'm out.
Yeah.
I will find a way to, I don't know. Anyways.
But the nice thing about that is the social media now, don't you find? That you can get some of that through social.
Yeah.
Which I find is pretty amazing.
It's true.
And I think that some people underestimate that as a social, kind of thing. I think it's really great. You know, I know some people on Instagram that I don't think I've ever met, but I feel close to them, and we're friends, and we text, and we've never met. But
yeah. It's funny you say that. My business partner, okay, believe me when I tell you this. This is the most bizarre story in the world. I've never actually met in person.
Incredible.
Done Zooms for years, and we talk all the time on the phone, and we're supposed to be connected.
Never shook hands.
Never seen each other, and we have a ton of mutual friends.
What?
Yeah. And it's just bizarre. It's just, I know we're going to meet up. And,
of course.
And we're working on something really cool together at the same time. And actually, that's the question I'm going to answer that I wanted to ask you. But I'm really curious to hear your perspective first.
Okay.
The older I get, go ahead, finish the sentence.
The answer? Oh, the older I get, the more I'm learning and I'm becoming dumber.
You know, the older I get, the more I begin to realize that, God, if you just let go of the brakes and get out of your own way, in the realm of impossibility, everything's possible.
Yeah.
You know, and I think the most beautiful part about it is just discovering who you are and how you fit in and align with everyone else that is trying to be a part of this bubble that you're trying to live in this life that we're trying to live in right now. And I think that's the best part of this. It's the human experience. I mean, listen, there's some days are better than others. Some days are hard. But if you could just be still and just appreciate it and just be grateful. And honestly, if I could be happy about anything, that's all I'm happy about at this point in time. It's just finding this inner peace. And it really,
you feel like you found it.
Yeah, I just feel more grounded. I feel like my nervous system is a lot more regulated.
Do you feel because you decided to become healthy? Is that a big part of it?
I think there's 4 quadrants in life, right? And I think if there's a leak in the toolbox, like T. Harv Eker always used to say, you're going to have a leak everywhere. And the 4 quadrants are emotional, physical, and mental, right? And those are all invisible to the eye because the only quadrant or the realm that we see it in is in the physical form.
Yeah.
But you really need to work on everything. You could go work on your body, but if your head's not right, you're not going to get the same results, or you're not going to be in flow with where you need to be.
Yeah.
And I think the approach that I took this time around was really treating it holistically on the whole. We addressed the nutrition, we addressed the health, we addressed the weight loss, we addressed, mental health as well too. And just kind of learning how to be present. Listen, I'm the worst for being on my phone all the time. My friends will criticize me for that. I am guilty of it.
Yeah, but you're in real estate.
I know, but
and there's things you gotta reply to, and then friendships you gotta reply to. So it's not bad. Everybody's on their phone.
I get it, but I could do a better job.
Yeah,
we all can, right?
Yeah, but you don't have a 9-to-5 job.
No, I know, and that's the part a lot of people don't understand.
Yeah, my wife she's great. It's not that she doesn't have a 9-to-5, but she can take 3 hours out, and then in the evening do stuff. We're kind of in sales. It's sales. You need to be on. I'm always shocked by some big CEO who takes 2 weeks off and writes, "I'll be back in 2 weeks." You run a big company, you're back in 2 weeks. Like, please.
Yeah, but you know what? I think for a lot of people, depending on the kind of person that you are and the kind of support that you have. I mean, Bill Gates goes off for a week or two, a month or whatever. It is different story.
Different
I get
story.
it. I totally get it. Right. But I've been at the same time for a lot of people, what you may end up needing to do is just tune out, reconnect with yourself or your tribe, and then come back bigger, better than ever.
I will tell you, I didn't look at my phone for 2 years after I was sick. Nothing changed. Life went on. Our business went on. Everything was fine. But, when you're working, you got to work too. Like North America, you got to work.
You got to work.
You got to work.
You got to work.
People think like, oh, stuff happens. Everywhere now has got a bit of that hustle culture. Even Europe.
Yeah. It's getting there slowly. If you could erase one business myth, what would it be?
If I could erase, great question. If I could erase one business myth, what would it be? If I could erase one business myth, what would it be? I would erase, what's a great myth? I don't know. That's a great question. If I could erase one business myth, what would it be? That the product is the most important, because you could have the same product sold by two different people, and one never gets sold and the other one sells very well.
But is it the product or the people behind the product?
That's what I'm saying. I think the salespeople make a big difference. There's that.
Oh, so the myth is the product sells itself.
The myth is the product sells itself. And it's great to have a great product, but if you don't have a good sales team behind it, you'll never see that. So the myth that, the product developers, we all got great ideas, but if they're not sold, it's gone. Like, you'll never see it, I think that Bill Gates was super smart. But, when Ballmer came along, and we all see that when he used to come out there and then sweat coming down in the hands, up such a classic one in Silicon Valley, he kind of showed him how to sell the product, right? He had the computer. So I think that, you could have a great product, but no one will ever see it if you don't have sales. So, selling. So what I said, the product does not sell itself.
I'm going to go and pivot to a section of this episode that I think we're both going to have a lot of good time in.
Okay.
We're both foodies. We love restaurants.
Yeah.
One of my favorite parts of reading your newsletter that goes out to about 11,000 people.
Yeah.
Is your restaurant section.
Thank you.
Because you get to travel all over the world and you get to share your experiences.
I'm glad you read it.
No, I love it. I really do.
Thank you.
And then you're always at a bunch of really cool events. And it's a really good way to kind of like connect and kind of see what's going on all the time. So I like to call this the dinner party.
Okay, by the way, if anybody ever wants my newsletter, it's on my Instagram. You can subscribe.
What's the Instagram? Here we go.
So my Instagram is Super Frankie Disco. That's it.
It's very entertaining. You should definitely go and check him out and subscribe.
And also check out Dawood, who's the hottest Orlando, Miami, Florida realtor on the planet. Look at him. Look at him. It's like going to buy real estate with Julio Iglesias, baby. It's like going with a movie star.
Amor.
Yeah.
Anyways, listen. Let's
back to the food.
Back to the food. We're at the dinner party. This is the signature closing game to end this episode. You can invite 5 people,
Okay.
dead or alive, no family. Who's coming?
To a dinner party. So, to a dinner party. So I've always been a touch obsessed with Leonardo DiCaprio. I can have him.
You can dead or alive. You can have anybody you want.
No family.
No family.
All right. So definitely Leonardo DiCaprio. I would love to have can I and this is kind of like I almost see them like the same person, and I see them as funny, and it's like Bill Clinton and Barack Obama. I just think they're almost like the same person. They have that same kind of charisma quality.
So is that like 2 or does that make it 3
So
now?
I'm going to take Barack.
Okay,
actually.
So we got Leo, Barack
Obama.
Okay.
What musician would I have? I would have my Chris. No. You know what? I would have. Listen, the man sang my favorite song in the world, Christopher Cross, and I don't know if he's going to be that interesting or funny or anything, but I love him. I love the song "Sailing," so I'd have him. I definitely am a foodie, so I'd bring Anthony Bourdain back.
Oh God,
right?
Me too, actually.
You bring Anthony Bourdain back.
I actually went to Lunch Lady in Toronto on my last trip. And I think that's where he went to go visit in Vietnam. And there's an outpost now in on Ossington, and it's phenomenal.
Yeah.
I think it's one of the most interesting takes on a Vietnamese style carpaccio I've ever had. Yeah. Ever. You should try it out if you have.
I've tried it. I've tried the restaurant a couple times. I remember the lady almost died on the way. Or she died from Vancouver.
Yeah.
So definitely Anthony Bourdain.
And then you have one more.
And I get one more. I'm gonna go with someone fun. I'm Polish, so I'm gonna go with Lech Wałęsa, who has kind of started the solidarity movement in Poland, and he was just like a bricklayer and kind of turned over communism, and I think that would be fun to have. And
who's cooking?
Who is cooking? I would love to cook them the meal, but who's cooking? And I'm not going to pick my mother because she's
no. Who's cooking from the 5?
Oh, of the 5. Woo! Let's go with Barack. Maybe he did give us something exciting.
Who's paying?
Who's paying? We'll get Leo to pay because I heard he's cheap.
Oh, really? Who's talking too much?
Of the 5,
I think you're hosting them.
I'm not one of those 5.
Well, you're hosting them.
Yeah, I'm hosting them. Maybe I'm talking too much, but I think, so I'm talking too much.
Who's the first to leave?
The first to sneak out of that party, I think, would be Anthony.
Who's secretly the most fascinating person there? I'm going to have to go with Anthony personally.
Right, yeah, no. We're all obsessed with him. He's such a bad one to go. Who was my last one? Lech Wałęsa, that's right.
And then who surprises everyone?
I think who surprises everyone would... I think the most charming out of everybody would be Barack. I think he would just kind of just blow us all away. I mean, my wife and I, we just, like, it's funny. I think they're like this super couple, and him and his wife, and I think that everybody should kind of want to raise their kids and act like those two. I see so much goodness out of Barack and his wife that I think, not that he would surprise people, but no, I just think he's amazing.
Before dessert, what's the one question you'd ask the entire table?
What's the one question? So I think I often ask this question: what's your favorite song? So I often ask, what's your favorite song? And that's the question.
Frankie, I don't think legacy is measured by what people remember you for. I think it's measured by how people behave differently because they met you. I'm trying to adopt a philosophy of trying to learn how to become more present and hopefully leaving somebody feeling a little bit lighter after I left them than
That's
when we
great.
first met.
I love that.
Right? What do you hope people would quietly say about you when you're not in the room?
Just that he was nice. I felt great around him. I laughed. I had a better day. I sometimes actually, I was saying this to my wife the other day. I said, sometimes I just don't want to be the person who's trying to make the fun or create the organized thing. I just want to have a laugh. I wish that sometimes people would just remember that, like, just getting together, getting to that party at 7 o'clock. I know you've got other things to do, but just get there, because you just being there means a lot to that person who threw the party, who got ready with the drinks. So, what did you ask me?
I asked you, what do you hope people would quietly say about you when you're not
That
in
I
the room?
was nice, that I made them laugh, and that I eased their day, and that I was able to be helpful. But as what I think, I'm a bit of an empath, and I want people to be happy, and you have to also turn that off, and so I got to be careful, saying that, because you can't always want to help, because then you lose everything you've got here, and that often leads me back to the mental health conversation. I really think what happened to me was, when you're running at a million cylinders, you kind of forget about what's here. Dawood, you have this kind of area here. What's it called? It's called your
Scapula?
No, you keep
Rhomboid?
energy
Oh,
here. It's your, and I'll get back to it. If it's depleted, you can't help anyone. So you got to rest, and that's why I like going to Paris sometimes. I'll go on my own for 3-4 days. I'll go to Miami on my own for 3-4 days and just rest, because I really love being around people. I really like being social. If you don't replenish your batteries, you're in a lot of trouble.
Love it. Frankie, as always, I appreciate your friendship. I'm looking forward to
Likewise.
more memories, more fun times, better adventures, and better stories that we're going to tell. Because I'm going to tell you, your kids are going to end up hearing lots of great stories about all the adventures we have. And hopefully we'll be telling my kids one of those stories as well pretty soon. Thanks for coming on the show. Thanks for being on Real Sense Now.
Thank you very much for having me, Dawood. Oh, sorry. Quick question. Do you like it as Dawood or Davoud?
It's Dawood.
It's with a W.
Yeah, Dawood, Dawood. Or actually, it's Tavid in Armenian, which means David, which means Dawood in Arabic.
Oh, okay. So my brother's David, so it's a great name.
That's why I call him Dawood.
Yeah, Dawood. Is that right? Yeah.
Thanks, Frank.